you have an interview coming up and you really want that job, this is the video for you. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name's Emily Durham. I have been a recruiter for over 8 years. I'm a careers columnist and I'm a career coach. The whole purpose of your interview is for your recruiter to understand whether you align on the values of the company and the skills needed for the role. So you kind of need to understand what you need to tell and frankly sell the recruiter on in order for you to move forward in the process and get that job. And little disclaimer before we get into everything, I don't want you to lie or fabricate what your skills are, but it is really important for you to understand what they're looking for so you can highlight the skills that you truly do have in those conversations. So step number 1, if you find out that you have an interview coming up, is to go back to the job description for that specific role, because that job description is literally a cheat sheet. Literally, that is the document recruiters use to reference back to say, does this person meet XYZ of the qualifications listed? I want you to make a skills list. So you're gonna go into that job description, you're gonna give it a read and see the qualifications, see some of the experience they're looking for, and you're literally gonna write down in your notebook a list of all of the skills that are obviously important for this position. And then what I want you to do is highlight the ones that you think are either being brought up the most or the most relevant for the role, or are ones that you really shine in. And by the way, don't panic if you don't have every single skill listed. Almost no one who gets hired is the perfect candidate, so don't beat yourself up on that. Once you have a list of the skills that are obviously important for the role, I want you to write out some examples of times you have specifically demonstrated this in your experience at work or at school. So then I also want you to write down a list of all of the questions you would anticipate they'd ask in order to figure out if you have those skills. If you're stumped on this, just go to Google and literally type up interview questions about leadership, interview questions about data, and it's going to give you a full list. And before you start writing out your specific answer, I'm going to need you to stop, because the worst thing that you can do in an interview is read off of a script, because it makes it seem like you don't know what you're talking about because you have to read a script. And it can make you much less of a smooth communicator. It can make you come across as really stiff and robotic. Instead, what I want you to do is make bullet point notes, literally just bullet points, nothing else beyond that. There's really 2 key factors in determining whether or not you're going to hire someone. It's, are they qualified for the job, and do they have the values that align with the company, and can I see myself working with them? The best thing that you can do is go to that company's career website and look at how they describe their values. They're literally going to spell out what's important for you and what they look for in their candidates. Once again, list out the values that they have on their website that resonate with you, and start to come up with examples of when you have demonstrated those values in your work and at school. Do you see where we're going with this? So now you know the questions they're going to ask. How are you going to answer them in a way that helps you stand out? Mama, I've said it once, I'll say it again. You need to be a star, okay? The STAR method is a method of answering interview questions where it basically guarantees you're going to give the right amount of detail, the right amount of information without being too short or too long-winded. It is literally the perfect formula. When I train recruiters, I train them to coach their candidates to answer questions like this. That's how good the STAR method is. I can give you an example right here too. Tell me about a time you led a team. When I first joined at the company I'm currently at, I was in charge of a small pod of project managers in order to deliver a new product. We were tasked with adjusting a pretty large feature on the product in less than 2 days. My action was bringing the team together and creating a mini scrum team in order to deliver this in the time frame. I assigned team captains for all of the core projects, and as a result, not only were we able to roll out the product, but it had an 80% success rate. It's perfect. It's also really important that you beef up your communication skills in advance of an interview. The most common mistakes that I see in interviews are people speaking really quickly because they're nervous, so just be mindful to slow down, take breaths. It's okay to take a little bit of time. Get comfortable saying, that's a great question, can I have a second to think about it? Because there's nothing wrong with that. It's also really hard to be a great communicator when you're constantly panicking about whether or not you have the right or perfect answer. Most times candidates are not going to answer the question perfectly, but what the recruiter is looking for is their ability to go through a thought process, their humility to say, I don't know the answer. So please relieve the pressure of yourself to do everything perfectly. Do what's authentic to you and admit when you don't have the answers. Some other little hacks for communicating really clearly is smiling, using your hands to speak, making eye contact, but most importantly, it is that pace and dictation. So slowing down and speaking really clearly can help show your confidence. But above all, my biggest tip for making sure you ace your next interview is being prepared to practice, because it really does make perfect. Literally grab your phone, prop it up,
wherever you choose to prop it up,
and practice answering those interview questions that we made in that list. And then I want you to go back and watch it. You're gonna feel really uncomfortable, and I talk about this all the time on my podcast, but this is the best way for you to recognize A, your communication gaps, and B, if your answer is shit. And then what you're gonna do is make adjustments, go back, rinse and repeat. To be honest with you though, the only way to be a good interviewer is to practice interviewing. So I highly recommend interviewing for jobs that you don't even want, because it relieves the pressure and can really help you understand what they're gonna ask, ask, how to prepare, and how you show up in interviews. I know this was short and sweet, just like my 5'5" self, but I really hope it's helpful. You are going to be fantastic in your interview. The fact that you have nerves is not a bad thing. It's actually a sign that you care, and you should be really proud that you've invested so much time and effort into this already. You're gonna kill it. Let me know if you have questions in the comments, and make sure you stick around because I post a video every single week, really just to help you feel like your best self, okay? Because we're familia over here. All right, I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye.